Liam Paro versus Richardson Hitchins. 12 rounds for Paro's IBF junior welterweight title. The past few years have been big for Liam Paro, man, especially in his development as a fighter, his popularity, but most importantly, his confidence that is continuing to grow inside of the ring. I remember his fight against Yoamar Alamo. That was a shaky fight, right? A split decision fight, and a fight that he didn't look too great. But he bounced back from that shaky fight and stopped the big puncher and his countryman Brock Jarvis in the first round. Then he goes and he fights Montana Love and he stops Montana Love. And then he goes down to challenge Subriel Matias for his title in his home country. And he got the win, coming in as the underdog with an excellent game plan, with excellent execution. He never let Matias get going. Right? He didn't let Matias impose his physicality and strength, and he just executed his game plan and fought his fight consistently, constantly hitting Matias, right? Staying in the pocket when he needed to, but making sure he wasn't staying there for too long, right? Tactical, strategical, and making sure he used his strengths to his advantage. And one of those things is his footwork, right? You don't want to stay in front of Matias, man. That's just not the best thing to do against someone who has won every fight that he's fought, that he's won. It's been by knockout. You don't want to do that against that guy, right? You can frustrate him. Use your footwork to your advantage because Matias doesn't have the greatest feet. Now, when they fought, that's not to say that Matias didn't have his moments, right? I felt like he did finish the fight strong. And there were some shots where when he did land, it did give Paro a little bit of trouble. But Paro, being the smart fighter that he was, he would tie up if he found himself in too much trouble, man. It was just very, very tactical, excellent execution. The game plan was amazing, and he did not fight an emotional fight. He stuck to his fight. Simple cues, right? And he executed those cues perfectly, and that's why he got the belt, right? You cannot fight Matias emotional, right? It might seem like you're getting the upper hand if you're standing there trading with him and it seems like you're hitting him clean, but then he will come back and fire back, and next thing you know, you're on the canvas. You need to have a calculated game plan when you are fighting a Subriel Matias. Now, Richardson Hitchins, he's coming off of a controversial fight himself. One of his first controversial fight in his career. He fought heavy pressure, big puncher Gustavo Lemos, right? Hitchins has a great jab, one of the best jabs in boxing right now in this time, in my opinion. And if you let Hitchins stay on the outside and get comfortable, he's going to pick you apart from the outside, right? He did it against John Bauza, who Bauza came in undefeated, someone who was super fast, super crafty, who was supposed to give Hitchins some problems, but Hitchins picked him apart. Then he was supposed to have some problems against Jose Zepeda, and Hitchins did what he does best, stay on the outside, use his boxing skill. Now, against Lemos early on in the fight, man, Hitchins looked good to me, man. He was slipping shots. He was using his footwork, moving laterally, slipping in, right? Lemos, at the same time, he's going to be swinging for the stars, man. Every shot that Lemos puts forth is a heavy swing. It's a heavy punch. It's a power punch. And if it lands, it's going to do damage. But more times than not, especially early, Hitchins was able to be smooth and slick and move out of the way, use his jab, and establish a little bit of range as best as he can. But then he got caught in the second round with an overhand right from Lemos, and you could see he was noticeably hurt. But he did the best thing in that fight. When you're hurt, you got to tie up. It's always interesting when you're fighting a volume puncher, right? Because you might be a good defensive fighter, but if you're throwing 2 to 3 punches and your other opponent is throwing 7 to 8 to 9 punches, a couple of those punches are going to get through. You just want to make sure it is not those power punches. And Lemos's overhand right was on point that night, and he was landing on Hitchins. I think Hitchins is a good defensive fighter. I just felt like he got a little overwhelmed in that fight with the volume of punches that was coming his way, and he couldn't block them all, couldn't get out of the way quick enough for some of those shots, right? There were a few times against Lemos where you could see Hitchins was noticeably hurt, and you were thinking to yourself, man, like, yo, is this going to be the fight that Hitchins gets knocked out? Is he about to get stopped? but I felt like Hitchins didn't get enough credit for what he did in two forms. One, you always got to tie up if you feel yourself, getting overwhelmed or losing momentum in the fight. The other thing that you have to do is you have to get your opponent's respect. Lemos only knows one style, and that's come forward, bring the pressure, and let his hands go. And if you can't get his respect, he's going to come in, chin up, chin high, and he's going to try to take you out. He's not even going to care what's coming back at him. I strongly believe in every fight, there's got to be a moment where a fighter, especially if you're a pure boxer like a Hitchins, where you got to stand your ground and get tough and get mean. And there were times in that fight where we saw Hitchins do just that, right? He finished the fight very strongly. He stood in the pocket at times and stood his ground. He fought on the inside more than we've seen him in previous fights before in that fight. So you could see he knew there were moments when he had to bite down and show that grit and show the heart and that will. And I felt like he did that because I didn't see that same grit and that same will in previous fights before. It was a fight that Hitchins, he had to earn every single round of that fight. He had to earn the win that he got on the night. So when we talk about these two coming together to fight, man, both men are coming off of tough fights, and they both had adversity in their most recent performance, and both men are going to be looking to coming into this fight and continue that winning performance and get the nod. Going to be interesting, man. I'm looking very forward to seeing how this one is going to unfold. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/the breakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. I think this is a 50-50 fight, man. I think it's going to be a close fight. I don't think the odds should be crazy here. I think it should be pretty close, if not even. You would have to assume that Liam Paro is the champ, so he should be the favorite in this fight. Now, Paro isn't a pressure fighter like that. He's crafty, he's got good footwork, and he can punch, right? He'll need to be more on the front foot in this fight. He's got a smart team. They always seem to have a great game plan. If I am seeing that Hitchins doesn't handle pressure the greatest, perhaps I need to push the pace. Perhaps I need to bring the pressure. So I'm interested to see what Paro and his team have been working on and how they're going to implement that. Now, Hitchins doesn't have to necessarily worry about that type of pressure because Paro, he is more than a one-trick pony, so to speak. Like Lemos, he's a shorter fighter, but he's got one style. He's got to break the distance, and he's going to come out and he's going to swing. And if you can endure the storm and not get hit too much, that you can beat him. We obviously saw what happened with Keyshawn Davis and what he just did. But I think Hitchins, with his jab and his height and his reach, I think he can slow this fight down to his speed, right? He's going to want to make this a long-range fight. He's going to want to take what's given to him. He's going to want to fight very calculated, very strategic, but he's got to be careful because Paro is no joke, man. Like, he's a champion for a reason now, and he's not just trying to give away the belt just like that, because I'm sure that he wants a big payday fight in Australia, and he needs to come out on top in order to get that opportunity. Hitchins has to make this a boxing match, right? It's got to be smooth, got to be fluid, right? Got to tie up when he's in trouble, got to land his shots, got to get out of range, got to slip in, slip out, got to move laterally, lateral movements, making sure that his conditioning is great. His conditioning was not as good against Lemos, but I also think it was the style of Lemos that kind of, weared him down a little bit. But Paro's got a different style, right? So I think this is going to be a tough fight for both men, man. I think it's going to be a very tactical fight. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't the most exciting fight for those who are, casual viewers. For us who like boxing through and through, it might be a bit of a chess match. So it's going to be very interesting, man. I think Paro, again, as I said, I think momentum right now is in his pendulum. It's swinging his favor. He should be the favorite in this fight. Hitchins is coming off a controversial, shaky fight where people thought that he did lose that fight. But I'm slightly leaning towards Hitchins in this fight. I think Hitchins is going to be able to establish his jab early and slow this fight down, and he's going to guard his range, and he's going to make it tough for Paro to really settle in and to do what he does. Right? But Paro can fight on the outside as well, too. And he makes good adjustments as well. So it might be a bit of a chess match in this fight. I think Hitchins, if he can stay on the outside and use his reach and his hand speed to his advantage, it's going to work out in his favor. But at the same time, I don't think this is a fight where we should be surprised at any of this outcome, whether Paro winning, whether Hitchins winning. I think it's a real 50-50 fight, even if these men will never admit it, right? It's going to be a good one. Looking forward to seeing how it goes. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear from you. How do you think this one goes? Who do you have winning? Let me know in the comment section below. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.